What if I told you that some of the most beloved black artists left this world under tragic and shocking circumstances? Devastating car crashes, fatal plane accidents, and mysterious shootings have claimed the lives of legends, leaving behind deep wounds in their communities. These heartbreaking events left fans mourning, and their stories remain cautionary tales of how fragile life can be. In today's video, we'll revisit the most shocking and tragic deaths in the black entertainment world. Their stories will remind us of the incredible legacies they left behind and the painful losses that still haunt us. Get ready for an emotional journey as we uncover the final moments of these icons. Number 1. Lisa Left Eye Lopez. Lisa Left Eye Lopez was more than just a member of TLC. She was a symbol of strength, creativity, and resilience. Her unique style and bold personality helped shape TLC into one of the best-selling girl groups of all time, with hits like Waterfalls, No Scrubs, and Creep. Behind the chart-topping songs and glamorous public image, Lisa was a deeply complex individual with a passion for art, spirituality, and personal growth. But on April 25, 2002, tragedy struck. Lisa was driving with friends on a rural road in Honduras when she suddenly swerved to avoid a truck. The vehicle lost control, flipping multiple times before coming to a stop. Lisa, who wasn't wearing a seatbelt, was thrown from the car and suffered fatal injuries. In a chilling twist, just days before her death, Lisa had accidentally hit a young boy with her car in a minor accident. She paid for his medical bills and attended his funeral. In her diary, she wrote that she felt death was following her. Some believe she had a premonition of her own fate. Lisa's untimely death left fans devastated. She was more than a music icon. She was a free spirit who dared to live life on her own terms. Her legacy remains one of brilliance, resilience, and tragedy, reminding us of the fragility of life and the power of redemption. Number 2. Aaliyah. Aaliyah wasn't just a rising star. She was a cultural phenomenon. With her smooth vocals, mesmerizing stage presence, and effortlessly cool style, she became a defining voice of R&B in the late 90s and early 2000s. Songs like Try Again, Are You That Somebody, and One in a Million cemented her status as a music icon. Aaliyah's career was on an upward trajectory. Her third album, Aaliyah, debuted to critical acclaim, and she had just finished filming the music video for Rock the Boat in the Bahamas. But on August 25, 2001, after wrapping up the shoot, Aaliyah and her team boarded a small private plane to return home. The plane, however, was dangerously overloaded. Despite concerns from the crew, the pilot, who was later found to be unlicensed and under the influence of drugs, proceeded with the flight. Moments after takeoff, the aircraft struggled to gain altitude. The engine roared, and just seconds later, the plane crashed to the ground in a fiery explosion. Aaliyah and all 8 passengers on board died instantly. The wreckage was devastating, and news of the crash sent shockwaves through the music industry. At just 22 years old, Aaliyah's life was cut short when she was on the brink of superstardom. Her death left a void in the music world, and fans still mourn what could have been, a career destined for legendary status. Today, she is remembered as the Princess of R&B, a timeless icon whose influence can still be felt in the music of countless artists. Number 3. Kobe Bryant. Few athletes have left a legacy as impactful as Kobe Bryant. Known as the Black Mamba, Kobe's work ethic, skill, and relentless drive made him one of the greatest basketball players of all time. Over a 20-year career with the Los Angeles Lakers, he won 5 NBA championships, 2 Finals MVP awards, and countless hearts around the world. But Kobe wasn't just an athlete. He was a businessman, a philanthropist, and even an Oscar-winning filmmaker. He inspired millions with his dedication to excellence both on and off the court. On January 26, 2020, tragedy struck. Kobe, his 13-year-old daughter Gianna, and 7 others boarded a private helicopter bound for a youth basketball tournament. The weather that morning was foggy and treacherous, with low visibility making flying conditions difficult. Shortly after takeoff, the helicopter pilot lost control in the dense fog. The aircraft crashed into a hillside in Calabasas, California, instantly killing everyone on board. The fiery wreckage left a haunting scene that sent shockwaves across the globe. Number 4. Tupac Shakur. Tupac Shakur wasn't just a rapper. He was a poet, an activist, and a cultural icon who spoke truth to power. His music tackled issues like racial inequality, poverty, and violence, making him a voice for the marginalized and oppressed. Songs like Changes, Dear Mama, and California Love became anthems of empowerment and resistance. But Tupac's life was as turbulent as his lyrics. He was often at the center of controversy, embroiled in legal troubles, public feuds, and an escalating rivalry between East Coast and West Coast hip-hop scenes. On September 7th, 1996, after attending a boxing match in Las Vegas, Tupac was gunned down in a drive-by shooting. As he sat in a black BMW, another car pulled up beside him at a red light. The gunman opened fire, hitting Tupac 4 times. He was rushed to the hospital but succumbed to his injuries 6 days later on September 13th. To this day, Tupac's murder remains unsolved. Number 5. The notorious B.I.G. Christopher Wallace, better known as the Notorious B.I.G. or Biggie Smalls, was a lyrical genius who changed the face of East Coast hip-hop. With his smooth flow and storytelling abilities, Biggie's music painted vivid pictures of street life, struggle, and success. Hits like Juicy, Hypnotize, and Big Papa became instant classics. But as Biggie's fame grew, so did the tension between East Coast and West Coast hip-hop. The rivalry with Tupac Shakur and Death Row Records became one of the most infamous feuds in music history. On March 9, 1997, just 6 months after Tupac's death, Biggie was gunned down in Los Angeles. He was leaving a Soul Train Awards after-party when his SUV stopped at a red light. A dark Chevy Impala pulled up beside him, and the gunman opened fire. Biggie was hit 4 times and died shortly after. Like Tupac's murder, Biggie's death remains unsolved, leaving fans to wonder who was behind the assassination. Number 6. Nipsey Hussle. Nipsey Hussle, born Ermias Joseph Asghedom, was more than just a rapper. He was a beacon of hope for his community in South Los Angeles. Known for his mixtapes and his critically acclaimed album Victory Lap, Nipsey wasn't only building a career in music, he was building a legacy in his neighborhood. His songs often carried messages of perseverance, financial literacy, and self-empowerment. Nipsey promoted entrepreneurship as a way out of poverty and invested heavily in the community that raised him. On March 31st, 2019, tragedy struck. Nipsey was standing outside his Marathon clothing store when Eric Holder, a former acquaintance, approached him. The two had a brief conversation that escalated into a fatal encounter. Eric pulled out a gun and shot Nipsey multiple times before fleeing the scene. Nipsey was rushed to the hospital but succumbed to his injuries. The community was devastated. Vigils and memorials sprang up across Los Angeles and around the world as fans, friends, and fellow artists mourned the loss of a man who was not just a musician, but a leader and a symbol of hope. Each of these stories is a reminder that life can change in an instant. Behind the fame and fortune were real people with dreams, struggles, and legacies that continue to inspire us today. Their tragic endings remind us of the fragility of life and the importance of cherishing every moment. If you found these stories compelling, don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe for more content that takes you behind the headlines and into the stories that shaped our world. Number 7. Marvin Gay. Marvin Gay was a music pioneer who redefined soul and R&B, giving the world timeless classics like What's Going On, Let's Get It On, and Sexual Healing. His smooth voice, socially conscious lyrics, and genre-defying music made him one of the most beloved artists of all time. But behind the soulful music was a man battling deep personal demons. Marvin grew up in a strict religious household. His father, Marvin Gay Sr., was a preacher who ruled the household with an iron fist. Marvin's relationship with his father was complicated and tumultuous, marked by physical and emotional abuse. Despite his troubled upbringing, Marvin rose to fame in the Motown era, becoming one of its biggest stars. Marvin Gaye, the man who had given the world so much music and love, died in his childhood home at the hands of his own father. Marvin's death sent shockwaves through the music industry. Fans couldn't comprehend how such a gifted artist, a voice of love and peace, could meet such a tragic end. His death was a family tragedy, a heartbreaking reminder of how unresolved trauma can have devastating consequences. Number 8. Otis Reading. Otis Reading had one of the most powerful voices in soul music, capturing the hearts of millions with hits like Try a Little Tenderness, These Arms of Mine, and Respect. His unique sound and heartfelt lyrics earned him the title the King of Soul. By 1967, Otis was at the peak of his career. He had just wrapped up a performance in Cleveland and was on his way to his next gig in Madison, Wisconsin. Otis and members of his band, the Bar-Kays, boarded a Beechcraft H-18 airplane on December 10, 1967. As they flew toward Wisconsin, thick fog and icy conditions made flying dangerous. The pilot struggled to keep control of the plane, but disaster struck. The plane crashed into the icy waters of Lake Monona, breaking apart on impact. Otis Reading's death marked a tragic turning point in music history. Just days before the crash, he had recorded Sittin' on the Dock of the Bay, a song that would become his biggest hit after his death. The haunting lyrics and whistled outro became a poignant farewell from a man whose life was cut tragically short. Number 9. Whitney Houston. Whitney Houston was a powerhouse vocalist whose voice could move mountains. With hits like I Will Always Love You, How Will I Know, and I Want to Dance with Somebody, Whitney became one of the best-selling artists of all time. Her role in The Bodyguard solidified her status as a global superstar. But behind the fame and success was a woman struggling with addiction and personal turmoil. Whitney's life was often under the harsh spotlight of the media. Her marriage to Bobby Brown was tumultuous, marked by public spats and rumors of substance abuse. On February 11, 2012, just before the Grammy Awards, Whitney was found unresponsive in her hotel room at the Beverly Hilton. She was submerged in the bathtub. Despite attempts to revive her, Whitney was pronounced dead at the scene. The coroner's report revealed that heart disease and cocaine use were contributing factors to her death. The world mourned the loss of a superstar who had given us so much but had fought her own battles behind closed doors. Whitney's death was a painful reminder of the pressures of fame and the devastating toll of addiction. Number 10. Bobbi Kristina Brown. The tragic story of Whitney Houston didn't end with her death. Just 3 years later, her daughter, Bobbi Kristina Brown, was found unconscious in a bathtub, an eerie parallel to her mother's death. Born into fame, Bobbi Kristina lived her life in the public eye. After Whitney's death, Bobbi struggled to cope with the loss. Her relationship with Nick Gordon was fraught with controversy, with allegations of abuse and drug use making headlines. On January 31, 2015, Nick Gordon discovered Bobbi Kristina unconscious in the bathtub of their home in Roswell, Georgia. Paramedics rushed her to the hospital, where she was placed in a medically induced coma. For 6 months, Bobbi remained in a coma, her family holding on to hope that she would recover. But on July 26, 2015, Bobbi Kristina passed away at the age of 22. The similarities between her death and her mother's were heartbreaking and haunting. Fans couldn't help but feel that the Houston family was cursed, with tragedy striking 2 generations in the same chilling manner. Bobbi Kristina's death deepened the sorrow felt by fans and served as a painful reminder of the lasting impact of grief and addiction. Number 11. Sam Cooke. Sam Cooke is often called the father of modern soul. With hits like A Change Is Gonna Come and You Send Me, Sam was not only a musical pioneer, but also an activist who fought for civil rights. But his life came to a mysterious and tragic end on December 11, 1964. Sam was shot and killed at a Los Angeles motel under circumstances that remain unclear to this day. The motel's manager claimed she shot him in self-defense, but questions about the true events of that night have lingered for decades. Was it a case of self-defense or something more sinister? The world may never know. What is certain is that the music world lost one of its brightest stars far too soon. Number 12. Jimi Hendrix. Jimi Hendrix revolutionized rock music with his electric guitar mastery. Songs like Purple Haze and Hey Joe showcased his unparalleled talent and innovation. But on September 18, 1970, at the height of his fame, Jimi was found dead in a London apartment. He had taken a fatal combination of sleeping pills and alcohol, leading to his untimely death at just 27 years old. Jimi's death marked his entry into the infamous 27 Club, a group of iconic artists who all died at the age of 27. His legacy lives on through his music, but his death remains a heartbreaking loss for the music world. Number 13. Prince. Prince was a musical genius who pushed boundaries with hits like Purple Rain and When Doves Cry. His unique style and refusal to conform made him a cultural icon. But on April 21, 2016, Prince was found dead in his Paisley Park estate from an accidental overdose of fentanyl, a powerful opioid. The news shocked the world, as Prince had always been seen as a beacon of health and creativity. His death highlighted the opioid epidemic that continues to claim lives across the globe. The world lost a musical legend, but his influence will never fade. Number 14. Chadwick Boseman. Chadwick Boseman will forever be remembered as King T'Challa from Black Panther. His powerful performances in films like 42 and Get On Up made him one of Hollywood's brightest stars. What fans didn't know was that Chadwick was battling stage 4 colon cancer while filming some of his most iconic roles. He kept his diagnosis private, continuing to inspire millions without revealing his personal struggle. On August 28, 2020, Chadwick passed away in his home, surrounded by loved ones. His death sent shockwaves around the world. Fans, friends, and co-stars mourned the loss of a man who was not just a talented actor, but a true hero in every sense of the word. Number 15. Bernie Mac. Known for his quick wit and larger-than-life personality, Bernie Mac was a legend in comedy. His stand-up routines and his hit show, The Bernie Mac Show, made millions laugh and solidified his status as one of the original kings of comedy. But behind the laughter, Bernie battled a serious health condition, sarcoidosis, a rare disease that affects the lungs. On August 9, 2008, Bernie was hospitalized in Chicago due to complications from pneumonia. Despite doctors' efforts, he couldn't pull through. His death shocked the world, especially his fans who had no idea the comedian was struggling with a chronic illness. Bernie's passing left a void in the comedy world, but his legacy of laughter will never be forgotten. Number 16. Heavy D. Heavy D, the charismatic rapper known for his energetic performances and feel-good tracks like Now That We Found Love and Is It Good to You, was a pioneer in bringing hip-hop to the mainstream. On November 8, 2011, after returning from a trip to London, Heavy D suddenly collapsed outside his Beverly Hills home. The cause? A pulmonary embolism, a blood clot that had traveled to his lungs, likely caused by the long flight. His unexpected death at just 44 years old left fans and fellow artists in disbelief. Heavy D's contributions to hip-hop and his infectious positivity remain etched in music history. Number 17. James Brown. James Brown, the legendary godfather of soul, gave us timeless hits like I Got You, I Feel Good, and Papa's Got a Brand New Bag. His explosive performances and dynamic voice revolutionized music and influenced generations of artists. But on Christmas morning in 2006, James Brown's life came to a tragic end. After battling pneumonia, he was admitted to a hospital in Atlanta. His condition rapidly deteriorated, and he passed away from heart failure. His death marked the end of an era in soul music. Even in his final hours, James Brown's spirit remained unbreakable, a legacy that continues to inspire musicians to this day. Number 18. Aretha Franklin. Aretha Franklin, known as the Queen of Soul, had a career that spanned more than 6 decades. With iconic songs like Respect and Natural Woman, Aretha's voice became the soundtrack for generations. But in 2018, Aretha's health took a turn for the worse. After a long battle with pancreatic cancer, she passed away on August 16, 2018. Despite her illness, Aretha continued to perform until her final days, proving her resilience and dedication to music. Her passing marked the loss of one of the most influential voices in music history, but her legacy remains as powerful as ever. Number 19. Nia Rivera. Nia Rivera, best known for her role as Santana Lopez on Glee, was a rising star in Hollywood. But on July 8, 2020, tragedy struck. While out boating on Lake Peru with her young son, Nia went missing. Days later, her body was found. Authorities revealed that in her final moments, Nia had used her last bit of strength to save her son, pulling him back onto the boat before disappearing into the water. Her death broke the hearts of fans and co-stars alike. Nia's heroic act of love for her son ensured that her legacy as both an actress and a devoted mother will never be forgotten. Number 20. Roger Troutman. Roger Troutman, the mastermind behind hits like Computer Love and More, Bounce to the Ounce, revolutionized funk music with his use of the talk box. On April 25, 1999, tragedy struck. Roger was shot multiple times outside his recording studio in Dayton, Ohio. The shooter? His own brother, Larry Troutman, who then took his own life. The shocking murder-suicide stunned the music world. Family conflicts and financial troubles were believed to be at the root of the tragedy. Roger's death remains one of the most heartbreaking losses in funk music history. If these stories shocked you, don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe for more deep dives into the stories behind the headlines. Your support helps us keep their legacies alive. Stay tuned for more on Time Capsule TV.